Hey guys, it's Drew again. You know, with the internet, it's made collecting a whole lot easier as far as finding different things for your collection, whether it be cards, autographs, memorabilia, whatever. But today I want to focus on a few different items that I've gotten over the years in one way that has nothing to do with the internet. Today I want to show off some different things that I've found in thrift stores. So let's check it out. So thrift stores is one of those sort of like needle in the haystack kind of ways to look for things. You know, you go into it, whether it's an antique store or a thrift store or whatever, and you're just kind of hoping maybe this is the one that you find that store. You hear about stuff where people, buy a random box and inside is grandpa's old collection or whatever. And honestly, I've never found anything like that. And it's taken hours of digging, but digging is kind of part of the fun. So my wife and I, when we're together, maybe on a day date, we'll go out, we'll get some lunch, and we'll hit a couple of antique stores. We're not big collectors of anything. I mean, I collect baseball stuff, but that's about it. Honestly, it's just about time spent out. We can kind of separate from each other, come back together. We just talk. It's nice and easy, and we sort of like doing it. Maybe that's just part of getting older and what we like to do. But as I've gone through the years and I've gone to different antique stores and thrift stores and stuff, I'm not scurrying around constantly trying to find stuff. I don't find anything to try to flip, to resell to make a profit. I'm just looking for kind of cool stuff, and if it's baseball related. And while over the years I've seen a number of cards, I've never actually purchased a card that I can think of at an antique store or a thrift store. Usually they're either really modern or always really expensive. And it's just not worth it. It doesn't thrill me for the hunt for that kind of stuff. But I have found some different kind of cool and unique stuff. Now, some of these things I've shown off on my channel before, so if you've seen them before, that's fine. I just thought I'd put them in a little grouping and sort of talk about different things. And as I show this, I don't think any of these were bought on the same day or even at the same time, definitely not at the same store. So it's not like I have the honey hole of where to go. I mean, we go all over the place and we'll stop here and there, whatever. So a couple of different things. First, I found this original photograph. This was actually in the basement, I remember, of an antique store that had nothing to do with baseball. And this was sitting in the back of a glass case in like the darkest part of this place. But there was an original photograph of Stan Musial from spring training. And I thought it was super cool, and it was kind of expensive for a photograph, but my wife's like, you just got to get it. So I have it, and it probably sits up in the room. But it shows a great stance, his focus coming in, whether it was a post shot or just happened to be candid. But Stan is there with it, with his stance, and I just love the grip of his hands on the bat, and peering in to see. So that's a really cool item. Another thing my wife actually found for me in another place, and I thought this was really neat, is a postcard. And sometimes you can find good postcards, but almost never do I find baseball stuff. But my wife found this for me and gave it to me one year for Christmas, I believe. But it's an original postcard of Babe Ruth's locker in the Hall of Fame. So it even says on the back, Babe Ruth's locker from the Hall of Fame, and it's old. It's not used. I don't know much more about it, like the year or anything like that. But it's really kind of cool. It just upside down. It's kind of cool to see, the snapshot of the Babe Ruth's locker. It's got the crown up on top, and if you notice, is this display is in the Hall of Fame. It's not behind glass. I mean, you could walk right up to it and see it. It's kind of interesting because, the way things have been displayed in the Hall of Fame so much differently. I did get this last year. I was digging through some magazines, nothing to do with baseball, but this little booklet was in there. And it was just a little kid's booklet from, I think it was 1962, of how to play baseball. And inside are just tips and tricks for little leaguers, how to stand and stuff like that. And there's nothing major league related in here, except on the cover is obviously a picture of Mickey Mantle. And it doesn't mention Mantle. It doesn't show anything. It's just a baseball picture, but really kind of neat. I remember it was like $2, and I thought that was really cool. Another thing that I found is, speaking of magazines, that I did find this magazine. Now, a number of these magazines did not come from thrift stores. In fact, most of them didn't. But I did find this one years ago, and it's kind of interesting. It's a sport magazine from 1951, and it talks about baseball's greatest players of all time. And it's got this sort of collage drawing of all these great players on there. And what I found interesting about this is in 1951, how history of baseball at that point in time was perceived as these are the greatest players. And how many of these players still would be listed amongst our greatest players of all time? Guys that are on here like Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, Walter Johnson. But then there's guys on here that probably, if you asked, baseball historians or guys that are just like fans like us and say, hey, list the top, I don't know, what is this, 20, 25 guys, baseball players of all time, you're probably, no offense, Scott, going to list, Lou Boudreau. Who else is on here? Johnny Mize is on here. George Sisler is on here. And it's not that they weren't great players, and it's not that they're not worthy of being Hall of Famers, but they're probably not going to make your list as you're listing out guys when you're pointing out like DiMaggio, like I said, Walter Johnson up there, Ty Cobb right next to him. But this is kind of a cool collage, and it was kind of cool when I first got it, just to figure out without looking, like, how many of these guys can I recognize? Some are super easy to recognize right away, and other guys are like, I have no idea. But really cool magazine that I found in a thrift store. And then another one I found, and I did show this off one time, but this is one of the most kind of bizarre things, and I don't know the age of it. I don't believe it's a replica. I believe it's probably from the teens or the 20s, but it is a doorstop. It is an iron doorstop, and I'll show you the back first. It's heavy. You can see there's some rust in there, but it just says baseball, and it's got this little weird scene that's cast, and it's a doorstop. And I remember my grandparents' house having doorstops. Different times of the year as wood contracted and expanded. Doors would swing open or not stay shut or whatever, and you would need a doorstop in order to hold it open. And they were very common. And what I remember about doorstops as a kid was when you forgot it was there, it hurt like crazy when you stubbed your toe on it, because like I said, they're really heavy, and this one's cool. The paint colors are great, the combination of colors, the red and blue. It's just a little goofy batting scene. I mean, it doesn't really make sense. He's pitching underhanded and his elbow is next to his wrist and his long part, but it doesn't matter. The point is that it's kind of cool. I think it was $10 in a store that I found, and it's just kind of a neat thing, and just sits up there. And then this thing, which I've actually had behind me here, and I haven't talked about it, but just kind of neat, is one of the great things about baseball is the tradition and the Americana that comes with it. And if you talk about this, almost all of us would recognize Norman Rockwell and some of his paintings of what he did, and how he loved to use baseball as a theme, because it had that Americana kind of feel. And not too long ago, I think it was just within the last year, I happened to be in a little thrift store with my wife, and came across this, and it's a set of coasters that are made up of Norman Rockwell paintings. And there's actually only 2 paintings that are represented in the set of coasters. This is actually one of my favorite, and I think I might do a video on this picture. I have a larger print of it, and how this tells a story without actually saying any words. And this one here. And it's just those repeated over and over again, a set of coasters. It came with a really crappily made pine stand. But still, it's kind of neat. I don't use coasters like this, but still, it's kind of neat that someone made these and printed them off and put them on some cork, and it's just a cool little thing. So anyway, those are just some different things that I've gotten. Yeah. What do you guys have? Like, have you found anything? Thrift stores, antique stores? I mean, some of you guys are really big into it, and you find all sorts of stuff depending on the area of the country. Depends on how much stuff you might find that's baseball related. I know up in the Northeast, where baseball was just everything, it's a lot easier to find stuff because so many more homes, it's coming out of their attics and basements. Where I live in the South, not so much. I see a lot more, honestly, Clemson and UGA stuff than I ever do see baseball stuff. And, Major League Baseball didn't even come here until '66 with the Braves, so you don't have the whole first 2/3 of the century of baseball stuff coming. So anyway, that's just kind of what I've got. I thought it was kind of fun to show it off. I hope you guys enjoyed some things, and I'd like to hear what you guys have. So anyway, I appreciate your time as always. Until next time, you guys be good.